To address the issues facing Tennesseans today, from 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. We turn our attention to a race for a seat in the Tennessee House this morning, and we want to show you what it looks like. It's House District 18. It covers a big chunk of West Knoxville, North Shore to Pellissippi, and neighborhoods on both sides of I-40, and represents close to 70,000 people in the district. The Republican incumbent and his Democratic challenger both join us this Sunday morning. Representative Martin Daniel and Greg Mackay are with us. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Good morning.
I'm going to introduce our panel, and then we'll get to questions. On the end there is Don Bosch. He's a Democrat, also runs his own law firm.
Good morning, John.
Susan Richardson-Williams runs her own PR firm, and she is a Republican.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. John North is my colleague at Channel 10.
Good morning, John.
Nice to have all of you with us. And Martin Daniel, let's start with you, Representative. Why are you running again to serve the people of your district?
John, I've served 2 terms, 4 years. I'm seeking a 3rd term because I think the record has shown I have a record of success over there. I'm effective. I'm engaged as a legislator. Most importantly, I want to represent the people and take care of their specific interests and their needs with regard to state government. Also, I want to make sure, I want to work for a prosperous and improving the life of the people of West Tennessee. And I say this with a lot of pride and happiness, because Tennessee right now is hitting on all cylinders. I mean, we're absolutely, this is probably the best of times economically I've ever seen for Tennessee. Just think, 8 years ago we had a 9.5 unemployment rate. Now it's 3.4. Here in Knox County, some say it's as low as 2.5%. 2.5%, that's like full employment. We have AAA bond ratings from S&P and Moody's. We have our pension fund is almost fully funded. That's a rarity these days. We have the lowest debt per capita in the nation. This state, under Republican leadership, of which I've played a part in, I think, is absolutely hitting on all cylinders. And I want to go back to make sure that we continue the good work.
Greg Mackay, why are you running?
John, as you probably know, I used to run the election office here. And in fact, I'm the one that set up the early voting system that we still use. When I was there, we led the country in early voting. And the one thing I learned from that is if you want to get something done in government, you have to work together with both parties. And I think this is a great place to live in the 18th district in Knoxville area. But we've got some issues that we need to deal with, and I want to go down there and try to work with both parties to solve real problems that real people have.
Both of you have been out knocking on doors, no doubt. What are you hearing, Greg Mackay, is the top issue from voters in the 18th district?
You know, I think the focus of state government should be our children. And the top issue I'm hearing, of course, is education of our children. And then beyond that, of course, whether they're going to have a job or not when they get out of there. And Martin's right, the state is being run pretty well. Things are going well. Things are going great for the people here on this panel, including myself. There's a lot of people that have been left out. People that are making 10, 12, 13 bucks an hour. This economic boom has not got back down to them, and we've got to figure out a way to help them out too. Now, I'm not saying things aren't good here. I've traveled all over the world doing election monitoring, and I've seen how people live in Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and believe me, we should thank God every day or be grateful in some way that we live here in Knoxville. But things aren't perfect. There's things we need to work on.
Representative Daniel, how about you? What is the top issue you're hearing from your constituents?
I would say I'm hearing education as a top issue. I'm hearing opioid crisis, and I'm hearing the economy. Everybody's very happy with the way things are going economically. We have to address the opioid crisis. It's an epidemic here in Tennessee. This year, in 2017, we just received news that over 1,700 people overdosed and died from opioids, and it's something we need to address. The legislature in 2018, we passed 2 bills that are going to attempt to address this, but we need to work on it again next year, and that's one of my priorities next year.
Let me start with both of you, and I'm going to sort of jump into maybe what I'm hearing is the hot topic difference between the two of you, or the perception, and that is each of your positions about higher education, and specifically the University of Tennessee, which is in Knoxville. Martin, there are some at UT that wear a sandwich board against you in this election, and Greg, you're sort of an unknown. So I'm going to hear from each of you what you think UT is doing right, what you think they're doing wrong, and what you would do as a legislator if you were back in this seat, Martin, or if you won this seat, Greg. I'll start with you, Greg.
Yes, well, I mean, UT, the report came out the other day, the economic impact of the University of Tennessee in this area is $1.7 billion. 90% of that is academic, non-sports. So it's a tremendous economic engine here. You know, there have been some issues. Things have not been going well leadership-wise. You know, that needs to straighten itself out. Nobody likes the buyouts.
Are you critical of Dr. Joe DiPietro as president?
I don't think it's my place to judge. I mean, he's the president of the University of Tennessee. He's got a tough job to do. I've been in situations like that at the Election Commission, at the Coliseum, where you have to make personnel
Has he done a good job, in your opinion?
I think he's done a good job. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Martin?
Don, thank you for that question. As you know, I'm a two-time graduate of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. There is no bigger fan of the University of Tennessee than Martin Daniel, let me tell you. But there are certain things that are distracting it from his primary mission, that being education, research, public service. They're letting all these other issues regarding coach buyouts, gender-neutral pronouns, don't call it Christmas, all these other issues are distracting it from a greater mission. And I'm willing to step forward when the Board of Trustees won't and say, hey, we need to straighten this up.
But Martin, some of those things you mentioned, let's start with coach buyouts. I understand that. A lot of people have trouble with that, but is that the function of a legislature to decide what contracts should be? Isn't the function to replace those in charge of making those deals versus complain about it? And then the gender neutral pronouns and the don't call it Christmas, those were suggestions. Those are 2.5 years old. You all scared the tar out of the university with it and took funds away from meaningful, real programs that helped students as punishment. So I'll go back to that. I'm concerned what is going right and wrong with UT right now. So why don't you said what's wrong, what's right?
Okay, I'm going to answer that first question. I think you said, when is it appropriate for a legislator to step in? I think it's appropriate when the Board of Trustees won't. We have no intention of telling the university how to wash windows or cut grass. That's not our business. But when they do things that distract from their mission, embarrass them and the entire state, it's the legislators' obligation to step in, I think. I think they're doing fine academically. We have some good people over there. We have some good teachers. And let me tell you, I met with 5 out of the 7 new trustees personally. I've traveled all over the state to do that. And I'm very encouraged. I think they're going to take this job seriously. I think they're going to be more engaged, and they're going to guide the university in the right way.
We're going to pick up on our conversation after a quick break here on Inside Tennessee with 2 men who would like to be in the legislature next year. They're looking for your vote in November.